Welcome into another edition of That's Deep. I'm Tommy Z, joined as always by Johnny Bravo. Pretty solid card last week. Hit a handful of bets on that one. Did okay on DFS. Got a pretty good one here. UFC 320. We got a couple title fights. Got the return of Poatan rematch from their last fight. Hopefully, a little bit of a better fight. That last one was kind of not so exciting, especially for a Poatan fight. But yeah, we got a pretty solid card here. We got some interesting fights, but good one nonetheless. Johnny, how you feeling coming into this one?
Feeling good, feeling good. Mixed bags of results last week. Kind of made a little bit, but not much. Yeah, and this is an interesting card, pay-per-view. So yeah, some interesting fights on here. We got the rematch. My guys coming back. Hopefully, yeah, we can reclaim the title.
Yes, sir. So with that said, we jump into a non-title fight and a fight that I was kind of shocked to see. We've got Brogan Walker making her return against Veronica Hardy. Veronica Hardy, a pretty sizable favorite here. Last I looked, she was minus 700. Brogan has not had much success in the UFC. She's been off for 2 years, maybe a little longer. Not too much you can do with this one, but what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't know what really what. I mean, Hardy's minus 750. I mean, I don't know what you can really do with that. She's not much of a finisher, so betting her finishing props. I mean, I don't know. She's looked good since she's came back. Rough outing in her last fight where she got just controlled, and that's her problem. Is if she gets taken down, there's nothing really to really get back up. Once you ground her, she's pretty much stuck down there. But
Yep.
she's got a little grappling of her own that she can go to, and the striking is pretty good. And Brogan Walker, I mean, I really don't know what to expect. In 2 years, been away for 2 years, like 2.5 years. Yeah, it has not looked good in the UFC. She was okay, I guess, in the Tough House, but yeah, I really don't know what to make of her. She's older already. What is she coming here just to collect a check? I don't know. Hardy wins, but I don't know if she finishes her. Yeah, it's going to be not much you can do here.
Yeah, I thought maybe about looking at the minus 3.5 as like a parlay piece, but there is the chance of her potentially maybe dropping around because maybe she gets taken down, but I don't really see this one being too competitive. I think Hardy probably gets it done. It's such a big number. We've got a lot of fights on this card. There's no real reason to bet this fight, so I'm probably going to lay off. If you're doing, if you're making full card picks and stuff like that, Veronica Hardy is the side, I guess. But yeah, other than that, probably a stay away overall. All right, we'll move right along here to a little bit of a more interesting fight. We got Ramiz Brahimaj taking on Austin Vanderford. Vanderford, strong, powerful wrestler, guy that fought over in Bellator PFL, I think mostly under the Bellator banner. He's pretty solid. He has a couple losses on the record to some of the higher level guys over there. Brahimaj is a guy, he's got great jiu-jitsu. He's got good subs. Tough dude. He's a tough out, but, not some definite holes in his game. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Mr. Van Sant, finally, he's he's getting his little run here in the UFC. He looked pretty good against Beretnikov, who we're gonna talk about in a little bit later. But yeah, strong wrestler. The striking is not all that great. I mean, I don't think really too highly of him. I don't know how far he can go, but I mean, he's a really strong wrestler, and if he gets on top, he's got pretty solid ground and pound, good top control. Yeah, he's kind of been chinny in the past. I mean, Musasi knocked him out, and then I'm forgetting who else the other guy was that knocked him out.
Oh man, I'm gonna blank on his name now too.
I got it right here. Oh, Aaron Jeffrey. Yeah, Aaron
Aaron
Jeffrey
Jeffrey.
knocked him
Yes,
out.
yeah.
So he's kind of had, chin problems. He's kind of, but he's coming down here to 170. I mean, he should be he should have a pretty good size advantage here on Brahimash, who, I mean, he's impressed me. His last couple of fights, he's kind of turned the corner, even though it's probably not the greatest of competition. I mean, starching Mickey Gall. I mean, Mickey Gall pretty much had one foot out of the door, I would think, already doing his realtor stuff. But yeah, I mean, and then the Billy Golf where he pulled Gilly and subbed him. I mean, he's got a pretty nasty subs. I mean, he really doesn't have that much power, even though he did knock out Gall. I mean, the striking is not all that great. I mean, he's pretty much finish or bust. The cardio I don't think is that great. Yeah, but it's a tough one to call. I could see Brahimaj catching him, but I just think Vanderford is probably going to be able to get takedowns here and hold him down and just wear him down and probably lay some big ground and pound on him.
Yeah, that's the way I see it going. Vanderford, he's not the greatest. He's not a guy that's going to be hanging around in the top 10 in this division by any stretch, at least from what I've seen. I mean, he definitely has the wrestling to win a lot of fights, and he's a tough dude. But like you said, he's been caught a couple times. I mean, Gegard, one of the better guys, up at 185. Jeffries, he's a solid guy too. I mean, he's had a pretty decent career himself, so not the worst two losses in the world. Brahima, he's solid. Like, I don't know, he's got some skills. He definitely has that sub upside. I don't really look too much into his power. The Mickey Gall thing is, it is what it is. Mickey Gall's a guy that kind of got famous early with the whole looking for a fight thing, calling out CM Punk, found his way into the UFC way too early to get that CM Punk fight, and just never really put it all together. He's a tough guy, but yeah, I mean, just not really UFC level, I would say. So, Brahima, he's pulled a couple out. He's looked okay. If he catches Gilly, he can submit a lot of people with it. But I just think the wrestling of Vanderford's going to be too strong. He's going to just be on top, landing ground and pound, and just I could see him finishing this fight. But overall, yeah. I think he gets the job done.
Yeah, I think Brahima's probably like a round one sub or bust. I think.
Yeah. That if you're looking,
so if you're betting Brahimaj, I'd probably bet him round one sub.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. And could be live, and you get a decent number on it. So that's not a bad way to look. But yeah, overall, I think Vanderford does get it done. All right, moving right along, we've got another pretty interesting one here. We got Punahele Soriano taking on Nikolai Veretennikov. Veretennikov, we just talked about him. He got kind of worked over by Vanderford, and not a good look for him there. Taking on Soriano, who's looked good at 170. He fought, the first 4 or 5 fights that he had in the UFC at middleweight. Had some, cardio issues, had some up and down results. But since moving down to 170, he's looked pretty good. The cardio's looked better. Veretennikov, I don't know. I mean, he's got some striking. He's a guy that can easily be taken down. Soriano does have some wrestling that he can go to. But, yeah, again, another somewhat interesting matchup here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Puna really, I kind of had written him off. I thought he was pretty much done and washed. But I mean, since moving down his last 2 fights, it's been pretty impressive. He's looked good. The cardio looks better, and the thing he's kind of gone more to his grappling and getting takedowns and landing ground and pound is, and he's been able to sustain that. pretty interesting turnaround in this guy's career since moving down. Yeah, and he's looked good. I mean, good, decent striking, good power in his hands, and now he's mixing in that grappling, which is what you like to see if you're betting a favorite like he is. And Vertenikov, I mean, I don't know, this guy. Last fight, the Prado fight, I think we were both on Vertenikov as a dog, and I remember we were just yelling because this guy was just gassed, throwing like spinning back kicks and getting taken down, and just like bad optics. I think he ended up squeezing out a split there. Yeah, I mean, decent striker, doesn't really wrestle at all, can be taken down. I mean, from what I've seen from Puna lately, I mean, it should just be Puna getting in on the hips and getting them down and pretty much doing whatever he wants. We've seen Varenikov did that punk shit too when Vanderford was beating his ass. He fucking got up after he was whooping his ass and tried to keep fighting and try to fight him again. So this guy's kind of a clown. So yeah, I think Puna's able to get takedowns and smash this guy. I like Puna. Puna's a pretty solid like parlay piece for me this week.
Yep. I like Puna. I think he is a good parlay piece. Even if this fight stays on the feet, he's got power, and as we mentioned, the cardio has looked much better at 170. So if the fight goes long, I think he's got a pretty big advantage in the cardio. I think overall he's just better at this weight class, and I think Puna, as long as he fights a smart fight, I think that I don't see a reason why he should lose this one. And I think his run at 170 continues. Moving on to the next fight, which is a bounce back spot here for Patchy Mix, who was a massive, well, not a massive favorite, but a big favorite, had a lot of hype coming in his UFC debut. Big letdown. Taking on Jacob Wilcox, who's he's coming over from KSW. I was looking at his record. He's fought the same guy 5 times in his career. He's fought the same guy 3 out of the last 4 fights since 2022. So, it's kind of interesting to see that, for a guy, just continuously fighting the same guy. That's I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm gonna have to say probably not a great thing. But Patchy Mix was disappointment. He's coming in here again. He's a favorite. He looked great over in Bellator. He's got great submissions. Just kind of hit a roadblock in his last fight, and didn't look the greatest. Had a pretty good 3rd round. Kind of woke up a little bit in that fight, but it was a little too late. But here, I mean, now he's fighting a debuting guy coming over from a smaller organization. You would think Patchy kind of has a little bounce back here, but what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Patchy, everybody who thought this guy was going to be up there, they were saying he's, best bantamweight, and heard a lot of people saying that. Everybody was high on Patchy and just laid an absolute dud in his fight. I mean, the guy looked like a robot up there. His striking looked so stiff, looked terrible. He threw a lot of volume, but just did not look great. Was just clearly outclassed and got schooled. I mean, he didn't even. I mean, his game is grappling, and he didn't even attempt to take down or anything like that. I really like the performance. Kind of was like kind of mind boggling, But even before like he came, the Magomedov fight was a terrible fight for him too. I was on him in that fight, and I think I had him in some money line parlays, and I thought he lost that fight. It was just a terrible performance. Yeah, so this is a bounce back spot to get right against Jakub Wiznax. I watched some of his fights. The guy's kind of a madman on the feet. He's kind of reckless and just no abandon. He just swings wild. But really good grappler. I mean, really good, really slick like transitions and reversals. Kind of like slimy on the ground. Just he's a pretty decent grappler. I mean, these guys this could be a grappling match. I mean, these are two decent, I think this kid's pretty decent. I mean, he said he fought the same guy 5 times, but he's the champion over at KSW, which is one of the better promotions. And I mean, for to fight the guys 5 times, I mean, there must have really not been anybody else for him to fight over there. So, yeah, I don't know. This is like, I mean, it's Apache bounce back spot. It has to be, right? I mean, you would think. I mean, I really don't know what to make of it. Apache should win this fight because this is kind of like, I would say this is kind of like a Bellator level kind of competition guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So lower competition. I think. I mean, Apache should be able. I mean, this should be Apache sub. Like this should be a clear cut Apache sub. Bing bong, that's it, So, yeah, that's probably how I'll play it. I'll probably bet the Apache sub, and yeah, that's about it here.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about a guy making his debut now after Apache came off a rough debut himself, you would have to expect he's going to look a little bit better. He's going to start faster. And I think, if they do get into those grappling exchanges, Apache is definitely one of the best in the world in the grappling department, submission wise. I mean, he does have very good subs, and, he had some really slick finishes over there in Bellator. So, I mean, he's a guy that belongs. Maybe he's not that top 5 guy that, we thought he was, but he's a guy that's going to be in the, the top 10, top 15. He's going to get some good wins here in the UFC. And I think it starts Saturday. He should sub this guy. I mean, overall, he should be the better of the two. So, the money line's getting steamed a little bit. He was minus 250. I saw him earlier. I think he's closer to minus 350 now. So, tough to get on the money line at this point, but yeah, I think the sub is live, and maybe even the minus 3.5 for that reason. Like, I mean, he could just dominate all 3 rounds or find the finish. So, yeah, I like Apache. I do think he's one of the better guys that Bellator has produced, and I think he'll get right.
How can you say that? This guy looks terrible in the Batista fight. I don't know.
But I mean, Mario Batista is one of the best guys in the division. If you really break it down, I mean, he was on a big run. He had that terrible fight with Aldo, but he did kind of what he had to do. I mean, he could have easily lost that one, but again, that's against Jose Aldo, who's elite. So for the most part, Batista's looked really good. I mean, going into it, when we got to the card, I was like, man, maybe I have a little bit too much on Apache. And it turned out I did. I had him in a couple parlays, and
I was on Batista on that one.
But yeah, I mean, I just overrated him a bit there, but I do still think he's one of the better guys that Bellator has produced. Yeah. I mean, so who knows? Maybe not. Maybe he's not as good as I think he is, but I definitely think this is a spot where he should get it done. But we'll move along here. We've got the women's bantamweight division. Got Macy Chiasson taking on Yana Santos. 2 women who have had, some decent performances. I'd say Macy's probably looked and currently looks to be the better fighter overall. Macy's got the ability to get this fight to the ground. We've seen Santos struggle on the ground at times, actually, quite a few times. But again, this is 2 fighters. You don't necessarily know what you're going to get from fight to fight. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm not too excited for this one. I mean, Macy Chiasson just laid an absolute. I backed her in her last fight against Caitlin Vieira, and she just laid an absolute fucking dud and looked horrible. Had a terrible game plan. Didn't even try to grapple. Tried to strike. Got beat the fuck up. And yeah, it was just just a horrible performance. And Yana Santos is kind of, I mean, lately the last couple of fights, she's kind of looked pretty decent in her last couple of performances. I mean, she's kind of surprised me with the way she's looked. I didn't expect her to look like that. I mean, I probably faded her in her last couple of fights, and she's came out with some wins, and she's looked pretty good. Yeah, and it's if Macy wants to wrestle. I mean, if it's on the feet, I think Santos is definitely live here and can definitely make this a close fight. I can't trust Macy Chiasson at, what is she, -200? Yeah,
Right
she won't
around
be
there.
having my money. Yeah, so it would have to be Santos for me or pass.
Yeah, I'm going into this one thinking Chason is going to grapple.
Oh
But
man,
like you
you're
said,
setting yourself up, Tommy.
yeah, you don't know that for sure. But I think if she does, follow that game plan, she's got a pretty big edge. So I'm rolling with Chase on here. I know it's risky business, but I'm not gonna get too involved in this one. But I do think if she gets the grappling going, she will look like the rightful favorite. So yeah, I like Chase on. I just hope she fights a smart game. That's really all it comes down to. All right, moving right along, we've got a featherweight matchup here. We got Daniel Santos taking on Jusang Yo. Yo came into the UFC, got a pretty easy KO win. I think we were all on him by KO in that one. So tough to kind of gauge. He's definitely a guy that's got some power, but I don't think we've really seen enough of him to know, where he's at the UFC level. Taking on Daniel Santos. He's been around a little while. He's had some nice wins in the UFC. Got a pretty solid overall game. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. One of the more like closer, bettable fights, I would think. Yeah, Santos' last fight, off a little bit of a layoff, came in, and I mean, he looked against Lee. He looked amazing. I mean, he was grappling. I mean, the striking looked on point. I mean, he looked really good, really, really good. Yeah, we were on him in that fight, and yeah, I mean, really surprising, And this is, he's coming up in weight. He's been gone, you know. So this is his second fight. He was really not that active. So, he's got all the skills. He's a good grappling, good striking, good cardio. Solid fighter. I'm a fan of Willie Cat Santos. He's a good fighter, and with you, we really don't know what this guy is. He's fighting over there in Korea with the Korean Zombie. He's one of the Korean Zombies gyms. Is one of his prospects. Looked amazing in the. I mean, it's Shekasaragi. He sucks. So
Right.
he absolutely planted him. Can't really read too much off that. But I mean, the striking looks solid. I mean, he's got power. So it's like you really like. Maybe he can catch Santos, but I don't know. This is kind of a tough one for me because you don't really know how to judge you off the level of competition. This guy could be really good and just be planting guys, or he can just be, we haven't really seen his grappling tested too much, so I think that'll be put to the test here. But yeah, off skills and what I know, I'm gonna have to just go with Santos here.
Yeah, same. And hopefully Santos does test that grappling because Santos we've seen him land multiple takedowns and a few fights. I believe he had 3 in the last fight. So, he's got the well-rounded skill set, and that could be enough to wear on a guy who's knocking dudes out. See where the cardio's at. But yeah, with the overall, from what we've seen from Santos, I have to ride with him. maybe you lands a big one. Maybe he's just got that death touch, but I guess I'll believe it when I see it. So I'll ride with Santos here as well. All right, our next fight here is pretty. I thought the line was kind of interesting when I saw it. We got Chris Gutierrez taking on Farid Basharat. Basharat, the better of the Basharat brothers. He's looked good. He's kept that winning record alive. But Gutierrez is a guy that he's tough. He's been in there with some of the best. He can be grappled, which kind of makes Basharat's grappling an advantage here. But Gutierrez he's a tough guy. His leg kicks are nasty, and he's fought many close competitive fights. Basharat, pretty sizable favorite, which was that kind of surprised me a little bit. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I guess the line is kind of wide, but Basharat, this is the better Basharat brother. I don't think Javed is very good, and I think he's the better one. I mean, the striking is good. He's just he's kind of low volume. He doesn't throw a lot of output, but the wrestling and the top control is pretty good. Good grappler. Strong. You know, he's a decent fighter. He's minus 500 though against Gutierrez, who's kind of he's a vet. We've seen him fight. He's fought a lot of good guys here in the UFC. He's got a lot of volume. He throws those nasty leg kicks, but the grappling is a concern because you've seen him off his back. He kind of just accepts position, doesn't try to get up. His get up game is terrible. So, I mean, Basharat should be able to get takedowns here at will. I mean,
yeah,
or whenever he wants. Maybe he wants to strike. I don't think. I mean, if it's you tell me it's a 15-minute striking, and Gutierrez is plus 350. I think I would be on Gutierrez, but I just don't see it like that. I think Basharat knows what he needs to do. He's going to get the takedowns. He's going to wrestle. He's got cardio. He looks solid. So, yeah, he should be able to wrestle for 3 rounds here and pretty much just ground Gutierrez, yeah, it's probably Basharat by decision. Gutierrez is kind of hard to put away, so he's a tough out. But
yeah, like the overs in this one. I'm kind of interested in the spread. Gutierrez will be plus money on the spread, which I mean he could pull a round off. I think it's gonna be a pretty competitive fight, but if Basharat just strictly goes, all right, this guy's going to either kick my leg off or I'm going to take him down, and just goes ahead and takes him down, could be a 30-27. But I do think this fight goes long. I like the overs, and yeah, Basharat by decision, Basharat over 1.5. Maybe if you wanted to put it into a parlay or something, but yeah, I think Basharat gets it done. I do think it's a pretty good test for him, but overall, it's hard to fade a guy who's got the grappling against Gutierrez. All right, our next fight is, I mean, maybe a fun one. It could be a fun one. Could be an exciting finish, or it could be just two guys gassed out. But we will see. We got Edmund Shabazian taking on Andre Muniz. Muniz is a guy that has some of the best grappling really in the world, but his takedowns aren't great. His cardio is not very good, and he just hasn't looked great in recent fights. Taking on Shabazian, who was supposed to be a big star, kind of got humbled, had a couple 2-3 losses. He's come back. He's won some fights. Hasn't looked overly impressive, but he definitely has knockout power. Yeah, I mean, these are two guys that really hard to trust either one. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one. I mean, should see violence here. I don't know. Shabazian, he's the golden child, and then he had his little rough hiccups, and then he kind of came back, had some pretty good finishes against some lower level guys. and then he ended up he got GM3'd, so that was interesting. Yeah, and then his last fight against Petrosky, he was able to kind of, he really didn't find that knockout punch. He was able to just beat up Petrosky and stuff his takedowns and pretty much neutralize the grappling there. So that was kind of good to see. Yeah, I mean he's got really good striking, good knockout power, but like you said, the cardio, he's flaky. Like he'll look like a world beater in the first 7.5 minutes, and then just the cardio will just let him down and he'll fall off a cliff. But I don't know. He's kind of looked better in that aspect in his last couple of fights. So you got to think maybe that's an improvement he's made. And Muniz is just, I think this guy is done. I think he's cooked. I mean, I think the chin is gone. He's got no cardio, like you said. He's got good grappling if it gets to the ground, and he's able to get positioning. But the takedowns are absolutely nowhere to be found. Terrible wrestling. But the BJJ is good. It's solid. And he's pretty dangerous once it gets down there. But he's not really offering too much on the feet. And yeah, this should be a Shabazian KO, man. I really like the Shabazian KO in 1 or 2. I think
Yeah.
eventually he finds the button and puts Muniz out. Yeah, so give me Shabazian by KO.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like it should be. A little disappointing that he didn't get Petrosky out of there. I mean, we just saw Petrosky just get absolutely flatlined. So kind of shocking. But I also think at the same time, Shabazian has been worried about that cardio. Maybe not really willing to put the foot to the mat and just go full bore. But I think this is a fight where he could, because even if he gasses out, Muniz will be gassed out too. So I mean, it's not like Muniz is going to capitalize on a tired Shabazian. He's just not that guy. And I'm kind of with you. I think he might, we may not see too much of him in the future. So yeah, I think Shabazian probably does knock him out. Yeah, I mean, Muniz is just, obviously he's live that first 5 minutes to pull something out, pull a sub out. He's extremely dangerous. But, we haven't really seen that from him recently. And he just looks like a guy that's checked out. So, yeah, give me Shabazian. I feel like Shabazian's still trying to become as good a fighter as he can. And he should find the knockout in this one. All right, moving right along, we've got a replacement squash match. It was supposed to be Atiba Guadier taking on Ozzy Diaz. I think he was minus 1,200 in that matchup. Diaz, probably thought better of it, pulled out of the fight earlier this week, and now Tristan Vines is, here to potentially take a first round knockout. But again, Gaudier's massive favorite here. Dude's got extreme power, just running through everybody they put in front of him. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is pretty much like a sanctioned fucking sacrifice, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
Tristan Vines, I mean, welcome to the UFC, kid. You probably got a 3 or 4 fight contract, but at what cost? You're probably gonna take here. You're gonna get hit so hard. You're probably not gonna know where you've been the past 3 months. Yeah, this is just a fucking bludgeoning. I think Goudier gets him out of there fairly quick. I mean, this guy looks pretty good, but he's not fighting the greatest level of competition. But I guess UFC are probably bringing him along slow. I mean, he's fighting Ozzy Diaz and all these other guys. So I don't know. The UFC obviously likes him and sees he has potential, so they're going to bring him along slow and feed him cans. So yeah, he's going to absolutely murk this guy. And it should be a round 1 KO. And if you get that under a half round, I mean, at some plus money, I mean, I think that probably is interesting because I think he
Yeah.
just smirks this guy.
Yeah, I probably bet the under half round maybe a couple times a year. This might be one. I mean, the guy's had no preparation for this fight. He's coming in on, less than a week's notice.
He's got 3 losses, all of them by knockout.
Yeah, so I mean, this is
coming up against this monster, dude.
Yeah, this is just a showpiece in the middle of the card.
It's a nice little good knockout, like little,
yep, something to excite the crowd.
So
yeah, I mean, there's not much to be said. I mean, it should be a knockout. It should be early, and there's not much more. I mean, we can move on off this one.
Yeah.
All right, our next fight is in the middleweight division. We got Abus Magomedov taking on Joe Pyfer. And, Pyfer, another guy the UFC loves and wants to see do well. Abus, he's fought some tough guys, he's got some skills. Another guy, cardio, questionable, but we have seen him go 3 rounds a few times now. Pyfer, he's got big power. He's got pretty decent grappling, but mostly trying to knock dudes out. Pyfer's cardio, we've seen that checked in the past too. Kind of faded against Hermanson. Well, did fade against Hermanson. And, I still have some question marks with him, but definitely has the power. Definitely kind of a psycho. So, I mean, he's, he should continue to progress in the UFC. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup here. We got Pyfer. I don't know what to make of him. He's I think he's got the skills. He's be Joe Pyfer, the guy who came into the Contender Series and had made the whole slogan behind him. He's going to come in there and try to knock your head off. He doesn't wrap his hands underneath his gloves, which I thought was kind of crazy, and that you're even allowed to do that, but I guess you are. So he goes out there with bricks in his hands, and he's going to try to take your head off. He's at a good gym, so he's got some grappling. He doesn't really use it very much, but we've seen him use it before. And there's some deficiencies in the cardio. We've seen him slow down in the 5-round fight against Hermanson. Like he's got a really good 7 minutes in him, and then he does start to fall off a cliff. Gastelum in the last fight, he took some Gastelum took some punishment, but we know Gastelum's pretty tough. He couldn't get Gastelum out of there. Gastelum's generally very durable. I mean, he won the fight, but I think Gastelum might have won the 3rd round, which is interesting. It just seems later the fight goes, he kind of just falls off the cliff. So that's something to keep in mind later down the road. And, Boost also, well-rounded. He's got grappling in his back pocket. The striking seems to be okay. Cardio, he's fallen off a cliff before, but, I mean, we've seen him go 3 hard rounds. It's kind of a weird thing. Sometimes his cardio is good. Sometimes it's not. I really don't know what to make of it. But generally he's pretty hittable. So I don't know. This is a tough one because if he can get some takedowns here on Pyfer, I mean, I think he can. If he can get some early takedowns and kind of wear on the gas tank of Pyfer, I can see him having some success. If he could get some early takedowns, kind of zaps the power a little bit out of Pyfer, I can see him having success. But I don't know. I think Pyfer eventually probably finds the button. Maybe. I'm still contemplating this one. I'm not too sure, but I'm leaning the Pyfer KO as of right now.
Yeah, I'm leaning Pyfer as well. I am kind of interested to look at this one in the live market to kind of see where both guys are after the 1st round. You know, if Pfeiffer has an explosive first round and doesn't get him out of there, might get a pretty nice number on a boost. But we got to see, you know, what does he look like too? Does he look like he's gonna, you know, have anything in the tank? So yeah, I mean, I think Pfeiffer probably can land that shot. You know, Boost has taken some damage. We've seen him hurt. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. So Pfeiffer is the pick for me. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of look to attack this one live, and we'll see what we get. All right, our next fight is a pretty good one. Got Josh Emmett taking on Yusuf Zalal, featherweight bout. Zalal has looked pretty good since making his return to the UFC. Emmett is always a tough out. Dude's got massive power. He's strong. You know, he's got grappling. He's pretty well-rounded guy. He does take some damage. But you know, Zalal's not the highest output guy. He's tough to hit. So, you know, may be able to mitigate that Emmett power. But I see this one kind of going long, and it might be Emmett like chasing Zalal around. You know, Zalal could get the grappling going. He's definitely got some good grappling, got good submissions. We have seen Emmett submitted in the past. But yeah, I think this will be an interesting one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Zalal's looked pretty amazing since his return to the UFC. You know, he's on a nice little win streak. He's looked pretty good doing it. You know, he's got good striking, good technical striking. You know, good grappling, well rounded. I mean, I like what I see. Maybe not the most, you know, exciting fighter, but I mean, yeah, you know, maybe not the most exciting fighter, but you know, he gets the job done. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah, he's you know, he's pretty good. And Emmett, I mean, I just don't really know what Emmett really has to offer anymore. I mean, the power's there. He's just so low volume, you know. But he can, if he hits you with that, you know, that one shot on the chin, then you know he's going to hurt you and he could put you away. So Zalal definitely have to stay kind of, you know, aware of that. But other than that, I don't, you know, Emmett's got decent, he's got wrestling, but just never really applies the wrestling game plan. Kind of just now as a fighter just resulted into that just one punch knockout kind of guy. And if he doesn't land that, then he's kind of, you know, just he's kind of just dead. You know, I mean the beatings he's taken. I mean the Taporia beating and just all the other fights, just a lot of damage over the years. Kind of wonder how much longer he's going to be able to go. It's already up there. So yeah, give me the guy on the streak, and that's been looking good. I think Zalal can pretty much win wherever he wants. I think he can get takedowns here, or he can beat him on the feet. So yeah, I like Zalal to win, probably by decision. Emmett's pretty tough.
Yeah, I like the decision look. I like the over. And like Diego said here in the chat, Emmett's going to be chasing him around all fight, which I do think that could happen. You know, if they're on the feet, Emmett could be just going and looking for that kill shot. Zalal's very hard to hit. I mean, he gets hit like, I want to say like less than 2 strikes per minute. I mean,
yeah,
he's not a guy
Cater couldn't even touch him until that third round. I mean,
yeah,
it was kind of crazy.
So yeah, I mean, I could see Zalal, you know, dancing around because, you know, you don't want to play games. You don't want to jump in there and let Emmett land that big shot. So, you know, Zalal sticks on the outside, lands the jabs, you know, maybe mixes in some takedowns. You know, and the sub is live with Zalal. He's got good subs, and you know, like I said, Emmett's been submitted in the past.
But
so yeah, I think
also
go ahead.
So Law, I mean, I think this is his first pay-per-view card, so you don't know. Maybe he kind of wants to go out there and go bang with this guy. You never know. I don't know.
I mean, his corner cannot let him do that.
Yeah, you would think
it doesn't matter when he's in the cage what they say, but that would be. I mean, if you want to derail your momentum, go out there and go wild and get yourself hit by Josh Emmett. I don't know. I hope
Yeah.
that's not the game plan, but yeah, I mean, I
Well, you
think
never know how these guys are going to react to the big
you really
spotlight,
don't.
big card.
Yeah,
Do you think feels like he needs to go out there and make a statement, and then he just
right.
does something stupid?
Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's Josh Emmett's path is to land a big shot. Other than that, I mean, Zalal kind of dictates where this fight goes. So for the sake of the over, which I am on, I'm hoping that he doesn't do that. But anything's possible. But man, that'd be a tough way to end the run that he's on, is to go out there and just get crazy. But it's the UFC, and you never know. So we will see. All right, moving right along here. We've got a very fun fight here. The rest of the card is extremely fun. We got Yuri Prohaska taking on Khalil Roundtree. Roundtree's had a massive resurgence over the past couple years. Had that pretty solid showing against Poatan. Came out, guns blazing. Had some success early, kind of tailed off a little bit, and then Poatan eventually got him out. But then he came right back, pretty much schooled Jamal Hill, and he's kind of keeping his name up there in the top of the rankings. Taking on Yuri, who's he's fought all the best. He's been a champion. He's basically just fighting champions all the time now. Wild man, absolutely, just always just kind of crazy in and out of the cage. But yeah, this is a fun matchup here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. This one should be a banger. I mean, pretty much all Yuri's fights, are bangers. This guy, he's not going to decision at all. So, yeah, goes in there, and it's just pure violence. You know what he's going to bring. He brings a flashy striking. Throws a lot of spinning shit, a lot of crazy shit. He's a crazy guy. He's like the mind of a samurai. He's out in the forest, hitting trees and with his bare hands, and just he's a madman. But he has gotten his college degree, though. You got to give him credit for that. He did do that, which is interesting. So, yeah, he's coming in here. Usually, if your name's not Alex Pereira, then Yuri is, I mean, pretty much amazing and just lights out. You know what I mean? Yeah, that should be a war. But the concerning thing to me is he doesn't really check leg kicks, and one of Khalil's strengths is those big like chopping leg kicks, big leg kicks. But Khalil, he's been on a decent run. He absolutely, he dominated Jamal Hill in their fight, and the Pereira fight. I mean, he had a good first 2 rounds, and then kind of just went in there and just went to war. Just went out on his shield. But before that, before his shot to the title, didn't really fight the best level of like competition. I mean, Anthony Smith and who else was it? Anthony Smith, Chris Dawkins, Dustin Jacoby, Carl Roberson, Modestas Bukowskis. Wasn't really the most, kind of epic run to a title shot. He performed well, but he wasn't fighting the best level of competition. And he looked good against Jamal Hill, but Jamal Hill is just completely, I think he's washed. He's done. So, I mean, we've seen what Yuri did to Jamal Hill. He got him out of there, and Roundtree really didn't do that. I really don't know why he didn't really put his foot on the gas in that fight. He kind of just was on the outside technical, kind of just beat him up. Didn't really go for the finish, he dropped him a couple of times, but he didn't go in for the kill. Yeah, I think these guys are going to stand and bang, and somebody's probably going out, and I'm going to have to go with Yuri to be able to go in there and find that shot and put him away. So yeah, the pick is Yuri from here, Yuri KO.
Yeah, I agree. Yuri just, I mean, You said it, he doesn't check leg kicks, but he's kind of one of those guys where like he'll be getting his leg chopped off, and it's just like he'll like shake it off and just like somehow just fight through, and not think about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, we've seen his chin get cracked a couple times, and he's bounced back and finished guys after getting rocked. He's one of those guys where you really have to put him away um, to put him out. But yeah, I mean, overall, I just think Yuri just a little bit more dangerous. Yeah, and just his performances have been more impressive than what we've seen from Roundtree. And Roundtree's, he's good, but I think he's punching a little bit above his weight class in terms of the way he's performed. And I think Yuri might knock him down a peg here. So yeah, I like Yuri. Worry, yeah, he could get clipped, but overall, I think he's the guy that's gonna put the more damage on and find a way to get it done. All right, we move right into our championship fights here, and we got a couple good ones. Got Marab, the Machine, Dvalishvili taking on Corey Sandman Sanhagen. Bantamweight title fight. Marab has looked like the unbeatable champion. Cardio for forever. I mean, it's insane the way this guy can push a pace and wrestle and just never get tired or never show that he's tired. Even if he is tired, he just pushes forward. And Sandhagen, he's a guy, we've seen him in the title picture for quite some time. He's very well rounded. He puts damage up. He puts damage on guys. He can be grappled, but his scrambles are pretty good. He does have good submissions. Saw that fight with Umar. Looked pretty solid early in that fight. The wrestling eventually got to him, and it just was a little bit too much. But he had a pretty good showing in that one. He got taken down 5 times, but he did get back up pretty quickly most of the time, or at least scrambled pretty well. So, kind of a similar situation here. It's tough to go against Marab, but I mean, Corey can be a tricky puzzle too. So I think he's going to make a good fight of this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean Corey Sandhagen. I mean, finally gets his title shot. He's a well-rounded, skilled guy. I mean, he's pretty much good everywhere. I mean, he's like you said. The takedown defense checked out against. I mean, Umar. He was able to stuff a lot of those takedowns. But later on, I mean, Umar got some takedowns. But it was like a super close fight. In the 4th round, the fight was like a pick'em. So
Yeah.
After he was like a big dog. So I mean, he's a scrapper, man. He's got good striking. I mean, he's definitely going to have the striking advantage here. He's got those clean knees up the middle. It's just this is an uphill battle because who can really put Marab to the test and really give him a problem? It's even if you stuff the first takedown, it's going to be another takedown and another takedown and another takedown. It's just relentless for 25 minutes. The guy's a machine, like but Corey, I mean, he's got the skills, man. He's, we've kind of seen a lot of improvements in his grappling. Back in the day, Aljamain Sterling pretty much was able to take him down and submit him quite easily, pretty much ran through him. And since then, we've seen him use the grappling offensively. We've seen some decent improvements in his defensive grappling. So I think this is going to be a pretty interesting test, for Marab. And what Marab brings. He's going to just keep coming forward, shooting takedowns. He said some things leading up to this that are he said that 90% of this fight is going to be striking, and he's going to go in there and try to knock out Corey Sandhagen. So I really don't know how much to take that into account, or if he's just just Marab being Marab and just saying stupid shit, because we know Marab, he's not the smartest of guys. The guy'd go head first into a frozen lake and split his shit open. So he's not the smartest of guys, you know what I mean? But in the cage, he's just a beast, man. And it's hard for me to pick against him, even though I think Corey could be live here. Corey could make this a decent scrap, and I think it's an interesting test for Marab. You know, it's going to be an interesting one. I like Marab. I can't pick against him, but this might be a live betting opportunity where if you can see Sandhagen maybe having some success, I don't know. I think this is going to be a pretty good fight, and I think Marab eventually probably ends with his hand raise and still, but it's going to be an interesting one. I think Corey can keep it competitive, and I think Marab probably wins.
I can't pick against Marab, but I can pick the spread, and Sandhagen plus 5.5 is even money. I threw a unit down on that. I definitely think he can snag a couple of rounds in this one. I think he does make it competitive. And, we have seen Marab get rocked in the past, and there is the chance that Corey does land something big. I mean, he does throw big knees. He does throw big elbows, and he's going to make this a fight. And, if Marab does choose to stand for a bit, he could get caught. So if he comes in fighting like a wild man, he seems like the unbeatable guy, but, and Sandhagen seems like the unlikely guy to dethrone him, but stranger things have happened. And
you see sometimes. Go on.
No, go ahead. You're good.
No, see, sometimes these fighters kind of get into their ego too. They're hearing that, Corey Sandhagen's this way better striker than me. He's gonna, he could knock me out. And these fighters go in there with their ego and like, okay, everybody thinks I'm gonna get knocked out by this guy. I'm gonna go in there and try to strike with him.
Yeah.
You never know. But
I mean, overall, I think if Marab just fights a normal Marab game plan, he probably finds a way. I mean, he's going to land takedowns. He might get 10 stuffed, but he's going to throw 25. So, I mean, he's going to land takedowns. And it all depends on, can Corey scramble up? Can Corey, avoid getting his back taken and subbed? But Marab overall, I mean, he's not really a sub guy. We saw him sub O'Malley in the last fight, but for the most part, he's going the distance with pretty much everybody. So I expect it to go 5, and there's that chance that Corey catches him with something big, hurts him. Maybe even maybe not even puts him away, but that'll get him around. And I think the fight's going to be close, and I think just from a betting perspective, if I can cash a plus 5.5 on Corey at even money, I think there's a little value there. So I like that. And then I mean, I feel like this is going to be you can bet this fight live too, because if it is competitive, you'll get a better number on Marab. Somewhere in the middle of the fight, even maybe after the first, because Marab could easily lose the first round. I mean, Corey beat Umar in round 1, so
and then it was pretty much a pick'em fight after that.
So I mean, it's very similar matchup, and Umar for 2.5 rounds looked like the better fighter against Marab, and then Umar just kind of fell off a cliff, and Marab did what he did and took those final took the final 3 rounds. But it's good experience that Corey had against a guy like Umar, who's basically got the same game plan. So I do think it's close. And officially, I think Marab wins, but I do think it's a great fight, and I think it's going to be close.
Yep.
All right, that brings us to our main event, the rematch for the light heavyweight title. We got Magomed Ankalaev taking on Alex Pereira. The whole narrative coming into the first fight was Ankalaev's going to take him down, and that's going to be that. Pereira stuffed all 12 takedown attempts in that fight. Did not look like himself on the feet, looked kind of lethargic. He had taken multiple fights on short notice, which is weird for a champion to do, but you know, he was taking fights on 3 weeks notice, month notice, and looking good, you know, running through guys, but at some point that kind of wears on you. So I think that was a little factor in that one. And also the threat of the takedowns probably had him a little gun shy, but you know, now he knows he can stuff the takedowns and, you know, maybe lets it go a little bit. You know, he's had a little bit more time off at like 5 or 6 months. So again, it's really a really good fight. Both guys have power. Obviously, Ankalaev does have wrestling, so that's still a factor in this one. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, the rematch. You know, the first one was, you know, it was kind of lackluster, but you know, it was. I mean, it was a super close fight. I mean, you know, it could. I think you could have probably scored it, you know, 3-2 either way. Um, you know, it was an interesting. You know, it's you know, Ankalaev really didn't try to shoot too many takedowns. He was really utilizing that like cage control. I think he won round 4 off just pure pushing Pereira on up against the cage and literally doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
You know, and you know, you were right. You know, Poatan, you know, he did not look himself in that fight. He looked real tentative. He looked real scared of the takedowns. He wasn't firing. Even though, you know, round 1 he comes out and he has a pretty good first round. You know, he won that round. You know, he landed some like 30 something leg kicks. He was, you know, starting to go to the leg, which is one of, you know, we've seen Ankalaev have problems with the leg kicks before in the Jan Blachowicz fight where he pretty much couldn't walk and had to resort to the wrestling. You know, so that could be, you know, another thing that's effective here because after the first round, he didn't really keep to that consistent like leg kicking game plan, which was kind of weird. Um, you know, and it was just a super close fight. You know, you know, Ankalaev did look a lot better on the feet than I had expected him to. You know, he was able to hurt Poatan and he kind of dropped him and rocked him at the end of round 2. You know, and you know, it was super close fight. I mean, it really wasn't a lot of action. Both guys, you know, Poatan real tentative, didn't throw a lot. You know, and he was on his championship run. He's flying to Australia for seminars and doing all kind of shit. You know, all over the place, interviews, and you know, and he even said that himself. It took a toll on him doing all that shit. You know, he seems more locked in now from what I see. You know, these guys are kind of trying to chirp. They had a little thing set up where they ran into each other in the PI and they're talking shit through the Google Translator, which was kind of funny. Yeah, these guys don't really like each other. Yeah, I mean, super close fight. I mean, the line is kind of crazy to me. I mean, the first fight was a pick'em, and now Ankalaev's minus 260. Kind of wide for somebody that just barely squeaked by with the 3-2 decision. I mean,
yeah,
if Poatan just makes a couple more adjustments and a little bit more output, he probably wins that first fight. You know what I mean? And I think Poatan can make some adjustments here and kind of, you know, and maybe catch Ankalaev. You know, we haven't seen it before, you know, but I mean, I think, you know, Poatan, I think he's locked in. I think he wants to get his title back. You know, Ankalaev, not the most exciting guy, you know, to watch. Just as the money line, you know, I have to pick Poatan at the plus. I'm picking him anyways, but the money line play, I mean, you're getting plus 220 on this guy. When in a fight that was super close, a 3-2 fight, you could have scored either way, you know. So, yeah, I got to ride with Poatan to get the job done. I mean, I even think he can win a decision. I mean, he nearly won a decision in the last fight. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's. I think it's a super close fight. I think the money line's wide. And yeah, I got to ride with Pereira here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm right there with you. I just have to hope that he does have a little bit more spark in this one, a little bit more output, a little bit more energy. He's coming off of, you know, he's coming in on a full camp. He's had a lot of time to kind of get his head right. not doing all the stuff that he was doing, because it's not like he was just fighting in Vegas. He was traveling all over the place, and yeah, I mean, it does take a toll, and that's why we all so often see these champions, and we're like, "Yeah, this guy's never going to lose," and then they live the championship lifestyle, and then they lose. So obviously, it's a very tough matchup, but when you have a fight that's this close, it's generally a good practice to just take the underdog and take that big number. Um, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But yeah, I think Poatan can hurt him, and I think he can get those leg kicks going. That's what going into the last fight, I was like, he's going to kick his leg off. I mean,
and that's what he was doing in the first round. He was just peppering him with those leg kicks.
And then it was just like, I don't know, like, I mean,
Frozen,
obviously the threat of the takedown, that definitely will slow you down a bit, but
yeah, but this Ankalaev's wrestling and takedowns are shit, man. He's not. Overhyped.
That's what I said going into the last.
His wrestling's overhyped.
Yeah, everybody was way overhyped. He's going to take him down, and it's going to be easy work, and it's just like.
Now he surprised me on the feet. I mean, he surprised me with the striking. He did surprise me, and he looked good on the feet.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he is good.
He's a good fighter, but he's boring as fuck to watch.
Yeah. We have seen him hurt in the past too. Like Thiago Santos had him hurt. Like that was a scary moment. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's gonna be it'll probably be close, competitive fight. Poatan definitely has the ability to hurt him, and I'm gonna roll with it. I'll take the dog. I mean, just the number for a guy like Pereira, the number is just too good for me to pass up. And if it loses, it loses. But I think it's going to be good. And I would, there's a pretty decent chance that there is a finish in this one either way, because last one was kind of lackluster, and you kind of feel like it's going to look the same, but it never really works out that way. So I think somebody might get clipped in this one, and
yeah,
I'm gonna roll with Poatan to get it done here. All right, but that's it. All the fights broken down.
I don't mind the under 4.5 in the main event.
What's that number?
-125.
That's not bad. Could throw that in with something. Just get it to plus money and see where it goes.
Yeah. Throw it with,
because I mean, there's a good chance. I mean, either guy could get knocked out.
Yeah, I could see a point. We've seen Poatan knocked out and hurt before, and Poatan has that game changer in that left hook, so that could always land.
Yep. So yeah, not a bad look there. And if we get it wrong, but the fight does go under, I mean, you could catch a ticket that way too. So, but yeah, we're on the Poatan train here. And we'll be live Saturday. I'm sure I don't know what the NASCAR schedule is, but I'm sure there's an Xfinity race in the afternoon. And then of course, football season is here. So all day Sunday, this channel is going to be live, and we got the game tomorrow night. So there'll be a live show for that too. So tune in to that. Sign up at Nuke the House. This is the best time of year, football season. This is when we do our best work. And yeah, I guess that's it for me. Johnny, if you got anything, let us know. Otherwise, we'll get out of here. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Give us a like, share the video, and tune in this weekend. Hopefully we cash some tickets. And good luck this weekend. We're out.
Laters.